disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, allowance is made for fair use purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, education, and research. Fair use as a use permitted it by the copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing.
Hello everyone and welcome to my channel. I am Afro. Please do me a favor as you enter the room and hit the thumbs up button. I really appreciate it. Today's video is a short documentary and it's about block to block. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
Manchester, an iconic place packed with culture and history, known for its historic pioneering music scene, from indie rock to acid house, in iconic venues like the Hacienda, Night and Day and the Naya Centre, known for an explosive football scene, its diversity of culture and pivotal historic events like the Industrial Revolution and women's suffrage. That's where we've come from, but where are we heading? Modern day Manchester is starting to be regarded by wildly different characteristics: extortionate rents, rapid gentrification, and culturally destructive community displacement. My name's Joe Malamed, and for the last few months I've been seeking to answer an important question about Manchester. It led me to a documentary called Manktopia, which claimed to be a snapshot of the city's housing crisis, but I felt that this didn't really tell the full story. During this documentary, I follow the group Block the Block in Hume, south of the city centre, in their fight against developers, as they seek to have their say in how their own communities developed. The group of resident activists have been fighting to stop the development of another student tower block bang in the centre of their community. I speak with one of the members of Save and Coach Dispensary at the other side of the city, who reflect on their 10-year battle to preserve the heritage of their community. I speak with one of the authors of Who Owns the City and members of Greater Manchester Tenants Union to try and piece together who is the city being built for. Firstly, Block the Block, a resident-led movement from two social housing blocks, either side of this unassuming plot of land, the Gamecock pub. And why has this fight been active since 2008? A company called Curlew Opportunities want to turn this important community site into a 13-storey student tower block, blocking out daylight to the other buildings and taking up amenities in an already deprived area. I've been invited along on the peak of a pivotal moment. Tomorrow, this group goes up to meet the new incoming leader of Manchester City Council. Poet and activist Tina Cribbin takes me door knocking.
So, Block the Block. I'm going to try and recruit people to come to the meeting at the mosque tomorrow night. Hello. Howdy. Oh, you want us to come in? Come in then. Hey, no, gorgeous. Yes. Yes. So my name is the model. So what we're doing again, you know this building in front? We've got a meeting tomorrow night at the mosque in Hume to show the council that actually there's numbers of us who are not happy about that, because really, like you, what could be needed there is social housing. Wouldn't that be perfect for somewhere to move in with space? The taxi's there for 6 o'clock and we'll make sure there's room.
It's okay, come with me.
Of course, yeah. Bring all of them. Anyone. Why would you want to come and speak about a planning permission if you're hungry, you've got no electric, you don't know where your next bean's coming from, you've got no money, you don't even know if you're going to be evicted because you've not paid the rent? But for me, low engagement means you've got a real issue.
The private rental expansion is creeping across the whole city, but I wondered what it was about Hume that made it so defiant.
We went through awful things in the 80s. We went through the riots. And the people I worked with good people, people who worked very hard with us. I don't forget those people.
Hume
This is going on around a lot of places. I know this is Manchester, right? But even where I live, right, it seems they just tearing down a lot of places. Like they would buy out people houses just to build something more modern, like more upscaled buildings, houses, basically. And that's what it seemed like they're doing here. I think that's what I'm getting out of this thus far. These people are trying to stop this modern day type of housing, because they want to build these real tall, expensive luxury apartments, and a lot of these people is not going to be able to afford that. Again, the same thing they're doing here. Rent here with these buildings that they're building is very expensive. And it's gonna, I don't know, it's gonna leave a lot of people homeless if this keep carrying on. That's what I get out of this so far, but we'll see. Anyway, back to the video.
was once a vast Victorian terrace slum that housed Manchester's many factory workers during the Industrial Revolution. But after the war, it was eventually demolished to make way for the Crescent's development in the 60s. Intended to be an ideal housing model that fostered community spirit and neighbourly tendencies, it turned out to be the exact opposite. Due to rushed construction by the council and attempts to save money, the Crescent's construction turned out to be a disaster. Completely neglected and run down, the Crescent's fostered crime and poverty. But it wasn't all bad. Amongst this tumultuous history, a uniquely diverse and resilient community has developed in Hume and Moss Side.
It was close-knit. You kind of knew the youth that went to various neighbouring primary schools. You became acquainted. It was very community-orientated. A lot of people have lived here for years and years and years. We're talking 20 years, 30 years. They've had sort of generations of children growing homes here, and they still reside here. For that, we want to keep an element of the community still very much closely linked and knit together.
And being so familiar with the contempt and disregard shown by the council, the residents have become very well versed in making their voices heard in battles against big interests.
Not more towers!
But today, the Hume community is fighting a more modern beast, the seemingly unstoppable expansion of high-rise.
That was a beautiful building. It looks like that game, what is it, Jigsaw? That's what it looked like. It was a very beautiful building, but yeah, these people don't want all of these. Who wants to go into a city and all you see, or all you see, whether it's a city, a town, country, or whatever, who wants to go and all you see is tall, high-rise buildings? You don't see any greenery. You don't see any nice homes. Whether it's modern homes or old homes. All you really see is all of these tall buildings. Now, when you have all these tall buildings everywhere, you do know it blocks out the sun, right? Like, it just begins to look so gloomy. People want houses. They want to be in the yard. They want to be out there and, out in, they want to see trees and shit. Deers, lion, tigers, and bears. Well, not lion, tigers, and bears, but y'all know what I'm talking about. Right. Okay. They want to see nature. They don't want to come out their house or look out their window and all they see is all these tall buildings. No. Anyway, back to the video.
Mental development creeping into their communities.
They're up against the planning department in the city that see Hume increasingly as an area where students need to live. We've seen the development of a new uni campus there. See MMU's Burley Fields campus has been developed there, to be increasingly under pressure from development, from increased rents, and ultimately from processes of displacement and gentrification.
But it's certainly not just Hume that's suffering from these effects. One of the areas subjected to the most relentless development drives in Manchester is Ancoats and New Islington, the site of the community-led movement Save Ancoats Dispensary. I came to meet Linda.
It's almost like saying, I wanted to say this before, and I had forgot. It's almost saying out with the old and in with the new. So the old becomes the lower class, right? And the new would be called upper class or rich. So they push out the lower class and bring in more of the people that can afford these things, because it's all about money. They don't care where these people go, if they have anywhere to go or anything like that. It's all about money. You know, sink or swim is the name of the game. Anyway, back to the video. Darn shame.
Carver to hear their story.
What a grueling campaign we faced in 2011. A developer, Urban Splash, they were giving a presentation of how the regeneration of Ancoats was due to take place. And cafes outside, people drinking, you know, families playing, the houseboats were there, it was all very colourful. I just happened to ask the question, where is the dispensary in all of this regeneration? And you could have heard a pin drop. Nobody said it, and I realised I'd said something that was quite controversial, even though I didn't know it at the time. And then I heard the words, well, I think it's going to be demolished. You probably have experienced these moments in your life where they change your life forever. You either hear something or you meet somebody or something happens. This was one of those moments, because I thought, and I didn't voice it at the time, but I thought to myself, over my dead body. We held a public meeting in Victoria Square and about 40 people turned up, and people talk about community spirit, and we found it. But of course, in the meantime, there we were, a group without any money, without an office space, because of demolition supposedly being imminent. My sister said, I think we should have a vigil. Well, of course, that sparked people's imagination, you know. Yeah, it was a visible structure that said, this is what we're doing, we're not standing for it. Throughout the whole 6 years of that vigil, nobody came to stop us from doing what we did. Don't forget, we'd gone out door to door to the whole of the community, leaving boxes in libraries, hairdressers, fish and chip shops, because it's like saying, that's the end of Ancoats. That's how they felt. That's the end of Ancoats.
One case that we looked at in the Who Owns the City report is the partnership between Manchester City Council and Abu Dhabi United Group, known as Manchester Life. And as part of this partnership, we estimated that over 4 hectares of land in Ancoats and New Islington have been transferred to Abu Dhabi United Group for very long leases of up to 999 years. To date, no social or affordable housing has been built on any of these sites. And there's a lack of transparency around what financial benefits the council are receiving from this partnership. This raises questions how public land is being used. If no affordable housing is being built, no social housing is being built, there's a real lack of public information around what benefits the council gets from this partnership.
So tomorrow night, the meeting.
Where's it at?
Hume Mosque, but there's a taxi there at 6 o'clock. You can bring your views. The new
So basically, by building this new Manchester, beautiful modern day city, they will not be building any affordable housing buildings. That's messed up. That's crazy. Again, you're it's all about money. You pushing out your own people for, well, really what you're doing. You building this extravagant city and not thinking about the people that was born and raised there. You know, not thinking about the people. You got the elderly there. That's all they know. And you're just pretty much just saying you don't care. It's all about the Benjamins, or, well, and y'all, of course, in Manchester, it's not called Benjamin, but I'm just using that term. It's all about money there, right? I get it. Again, this is going on in a lot of places. They're building these more expensive buildings and houses, and it's pushing regular people out. Sad to say, but that's what these developers and people are doing. And it's sad that the city is pushing it and allowing it. Anyway, back to the video.
Lead councillor of the Labour Party, Bev Craig, is going to be there. Annette Wright is.
His name rings a bell, very, very.
Yeah, I know, I was the same.
Yeah.
So, do you want to come and show us your brilliant opinions, which are always different to everyone else?
At the moment, I'll be honest with you, I've got a hell of a lot on my mind.
All right, darling.
I'm having a big war with the council tax people. I'm paying £100 a month, stand me over. And 2 or 3 weeks ago, I got a bill for £2,200, which I paid. But it was getting to the point where I was becoming obsessed with it.
Yeah.
There's no communication.
No, you're right.
And they do not send you a letter. They do not respond either on the telephone or by a letter.
No.
6 o'clock tomorrow night.
I'd love you to be there.
I'm going for a lie down.
See you later.
Care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
You know, I keep seeing you looking at them, and I thought, I'll tell you what I think when I look at them. I live in the haze of city lights. Electricity buzzes overnight. All across Manchester lights on the city's snide view, the working classes sing the blues. Got no pub to meet, no mates to hate. It's all gone quiet on our estate. No pissheads, crackheads, grafters or retrograde. Got no church to pray, no sins to lay, no hope to hang, faces flat and bland, traumas like that. Got no care homes, they've all been sold. No support to give to those with wrinkled lips or those whose shoulders swing heavy. All open plan, but no plans for ageing. The library closures closed the books, the hooks that kept the kids like us dreaming. No benches to sit, no time to pass, encased in bulletproof glass. I'm afraid to speak as it's all gone woke and I choke on the words that confuse me. Hush money, dirty money, blood money, jobs for the boys in suits, nothing left to lose, watching the sharks and the suckerfish leading manx and merry dance aim to confuse. Our words will make them flatline, predators, developers encroaching, but like the cockroaches of yesterhume, your time will cull.
This endless expanse of slick, faceless tower blocks makes you ask the question, where will this all end? Well, where did it start? London, a heathen city of 9.5 million people and counting, with 296,000 households on the social housing waiting list, and between April and June of 2022, 3,000 people were spotted sleeping rough. The human cost of this is hard to imagine, and it serves as a dreadful foreboding for Manchester, which is rapidly following in London's footsteps.
Now, in some ways, it's not surprising that you see these commonalities between cities like London and Manchester, because the national policy context is driving a lot of this. So the right to buy policy, the privatisation of council housing, low wages, cuts to benefits, austerity. both cases, you've seen a shrinking of social housing, a growth of the private rental sector, growing numbers of evictions, homeless families being housed in inappropriate temporary accommodation, and this often involves their displacement. But I think it's important to recognise that local government also has a role to play in this. A lot of new development in Manchester City Council's area doesn't include any social housing, it doesn't include any affordable housing, and arguably that's something that the council does have much more control over.
The policy that's designed to stop this from happening is made a mockery of by developers. Section 106 was designed to ensure major developments contribute to the area of their development with affordable housing or public amenities. It would be expected that 20% of their development consists of affordable housing, unless they can prove that this would affect the profitability of their scheme, making it quote-unquote unviable. This has become a very profitable loophole for developers, who even hire consultants to help them sidestep their 106 obligations, even paying them bonuses for reducing the amount of affordable housing they have to contribute.
I don't personally see it as you now, because now we're in this Oxford Road corridor. Some of us in the block now are thinking, well, what's going to happen in a few years' time? We're all getting older now. We just want a nice place to live. It's a good community in Hopton. And as I say, but if we can't go into the gardens and we can't, there's nothing else for us. Our area of humours gradually have things taken away and replaced with nothing. A few of us have discussed, the older ones in there, that we are now becoming a community of ghosts. Nobody listens, and certainly nobody seems to be caring anymore. So I think if that building gets a go-ahead, I think that could be the last straw for a lot of people.
And I agree with him there. What do you have? If you can't go outside and enjoy the greenery and sit outside, what do you have left? Who wants to be sitting inside of this tall building, this big building with nothing but walls? You go outside, all you see is all these tall buildings surrounding you. Who wants to see that? It's isolation, if you ask me. So I agree with him. What else do you have if you don't have that? You know? Back to the video.
But Manchester has been a Labour stronghold for decades. I wondered about those in power. Where do they stand on this? Richard Leese, leader of Manchester City Council for 25 years until 2021, and Howard Bernstein, chief executive for 19 years until 2017. The pair are said to have rebuilt Manchester after the IRA bombings, and it can't be denied that the pair brought historic levels of jobs and investment to Manchester. But since Richard Leese started his role decades ago, the level of deprivation is still ranked the same, and in 2022, 1 in every 74 people in Manchester were estimated to be homeless. So where has their focus been? Well, when it comes to developers, Richard and Howard have shining reputations. When Howard left his role, Chris Oglesby, the CEO of Bruntwood, who owns a huge portfolio of properties in Manchester, said Howard's impact on every aspect of this city's development has been profound. However, this impassioned goodbye may have been premature, as he didn't go far. Howard then joined the company that, according to Place Northwest, advised on 80% of large-scale planning applications in the city centre. He joined Deloitte as a planning consultant. Deloitte assures us there was no foul play in Howard's appointment, and Howard assures us there was no favouritism towards Deloitte whilst he was chief executive of the council. But the harmonious relationship top government officials have with developers certainly does not extend to the many critics of their legacy.
The town hall again, it's a money game. You know, if they see that private investors are going to bring money in, develop and build, that's all that they're considering.
But these developers come in and they throw money around. But anything that's being built, it's not for us. for profit. They don't care about us. They build what they like, they destroy our lives, and they move on.
It's evident that the private rental takeover has had a profound effect on Manchester's residents. I wanted to investigate what exactly this legacy looks like. Trinity Islands, Reniker's £741 million project, almost 2,000 luxury apartments spanning across 4 huge towers next to the River Irwell, and due to the profit margin only being 12% at £89.3 million, they can only offer £106,000 for affordable accommodation elsewhere in the city, and that's one flat if we're lucky. They will, however, give £10 million towards public landscaping, which certainly sounds fancy until you realise they're going to spruce up the local area around their towers, making their development look more appealing. Great Jackson Street, Reniker again, a £370 million project, 2 towers totaling 988 luxury apartments, none of it deemed affordable, and due to the only 11% profit margin at £40 million, they say they can only make a contribution of £90,000 towards affordable housing. They have once again stated that they will contribute £4.2 million to public landscaping around the areas of their towers. How generous. Circle Square, a development awarded to Bruntwood and Select, consisting of 677 luxury apartments, with, as they say, a host of cool bars, restaurants and artisan shops on its doorstep, with a 24-hour gym and private dining rooms. If that doesn't address the housing crisis, what will? £36 million was loaned to them out of the public purse, and contributions back to the public, 0 affordable accommodation across any of the sites, and £0 given in Section 106 contributions. And that's just a few examples. Today is the day that Block the Block goes to meet the new leader of Manchester City Council, Bev Craig, to put across their case for rejecting Curlew Opportunities' plan for the development of the Gamecock pub.
So now you're doing, introduce yourself as a tenant at
Correct.
Hopton Court.
Right, I've got that.
How old are you? Oh
I'm
my
not telling
God.
you.
Treble digit.
As old as
How long have you lived there?
Yeah.
Far too long.
And what's your opinion on the impact that it'll have on Hopton Court?
Yeah, we all know that, Roy. Everyone in the world knows that.
Well, that's it.
We're only going to the mosque.
There was a lot of tension in the meeting and wariness towards my camera, but I managed to film an impassioned plea by resident Emma.
We don't want to be going to food banks, we don't want to be going to the job centre for help. We want to be able to ask you to help us, help ourselves, give us back the land that we can put. People that work, people that want to go there, we've got all sorts of opportunities for it. All we need to do is stop these developers putting on it, because they're not here day to day. They come here 10 minutes to tick boxes and get paid. I have got hope that you're going to help us, because like you said, you're a new voice from Richard Leese. You've got the Manchester City Council to its first good rating, I read that today, so you must be doing something. So I'm hoping, please, for the families, for the residents, the kids, the business owners, help us to get Hume back to us, please.
Those people in
This is my thing. I hope y'all don't feel that the developers is supposed to care whether you have somewhere to live or not. The developers do not care if you have anywhere to go or not. Their job profession is to develop, to build. That's their job. That's it. That's all. They don't care about your well-being. That's not their position. That's not their job. That's not what they're there for. Again, it's just like I said, hold the city accountable for allowing the developers to come in to develop, to build. You can't blame the builders about it. They're there to build. And they only can be there if invited to. That's just common sense. Anyway, back to the video.
After the meeting, I contacted Bev for comment, but she unfortunately never got back to me. But what about Bev Craig? Who is she and where do her priorities lie? Or is it too early to tell? Bev Craig is the first woman and first openly LGBT person to take up the leadership role. Originally from Belfast, she moved over to Manchester, where she studied politics and modern history at the University of Manchester, where she eventually received a PhD in class representation and diversity. When she came to power, she stated that she wanted Manchester to grow as a genuinely inclusive city, and that she wants to demonstrate political bravery by tackling challenges like inequality and climate change. She also stated that developers will have to pay towards their Section 106 contributions if they want to do business in Manchester. But Bev has also publicly supported huge developments, like Renika's £741 million Trinity Islands project, and she's gone on to praise the positive benefits of schemes of this nature. Does Bev really care about community inclusion and having working class communities at the heart of her agenda, as she says? After more than 20 years of Richard's pro-developer leadership, people will certainly be keeping a keen eye on her activities to see if this is all really just lip service and more of the same. Before Block the Block story came to an end, I first wanted to take a look at how Save Ancoats dispensary at the other side of the city had concluded.
Over a period of 18 months, the business plan was prepared. We had visions for, on the ground floor, a community cafe where people could learn, spaces for art studios. We had all this, we had a business plan. Come the deadline, we were £800,000 short of the match funding, and we just couldn't make it. We just couldn't make it. Here we are now, and it's 2022. Earlier this year, I went to the launch with Great Places Housing Trust, who are now working to restore the Ancoats dispensary. They are, at this present time, making it safe so that they can begin their work changing it into affordable housing. It's through our efforts, really, which was acknowledged at the launch, that this is happening today. Otherwise, all you would have seen is rubble and another block of apartments going up, just like every other apartment that there is around there. So you would never have realised the historic place that the dispensary was, but you will now. And I would say to anybody taking on any kind of grassroots campaign, which we were at the time, that we had no idea how long this would take, and would we do it again? I think most of the people involved would do it again, but it does take its toll. It requires what I call true grit.
Right, the next item on the agenda, the former Gamecock Public House.
You'll know that applications for this site were turned down in 2008 and 2012, and all the reasons for refusal which were found last time are at least as relevant.
The site is well located in relation to Oxford Road and both main universities of the city, and prominently situated at the meeting of two major roads.
I've been volunteering here in my community since the early 70s. Today I speak for the silent elderly residents of Hume who do not believe that they have a voice. An 84-year-old male resident expressed living here as, we're just a community of ghosts.
This is a site which is in need of investment and redevelopment. What you see before you is a proposal which seeks to address this long-standing problem in a manner which optimises benefits for the city and the Hume area.
Our residents have led a significant and growing local campaign, Block the Block, running for many months against the development with petitions, window posters and protests at the site.
Community matters! Hume community matters!
Real people live here, you know, it's not just some student dustbin that you can pitch up 20 stories.
Again, no one's getting paid for this. This is something that they're passionate about, that they want to affect change.
The city's success as a location of choice for students is well known. With that comes a duty to ensure safe, well-managed accommodation is provided. This is critical to the well-being of the city's student population and its ability to attract new students in a globally competitive market.
They say they build in student accommodations, but it's not fit for people to live in.
That level of density of housing is bad for students' mental health. They're all highly anxious since lockdown.
It's developers, you know, if they can build a box and put you in a box and charge you extortionate prices to live in that box, they will do so.
Last time 182 bedrooms were proposed. This time 261 bed spaces, an increase of 43%. I'm actually reading this feeling really disappointed that we've allowed this to even come here.
There you are. All right. Yeah. My children and me want some more spaces for the community instead of private places that have nothing to do with us.
Look at that. I want to see, you see how you see these people outside and you see the trees, you know, you don't see those big ass buildings that's just blocking the sky pretty much and the sun. You know, you want to see regular houses. You want to feel regular. You know what I mean? You want to be able to go and see in these neighborhoods houses, physical houses. You don't want to go every block you turn, there's these tall buildings. Oh, I don't even want to see that. Anyway, back to the building. See what I'm talking about? Back to the video.
Block the block.
Please consider us as human beings with feelings of self-worth when you are making your decision.
I've come to the conclusion that I like to propose minded to refuse.
Can I have those in favour of minded to refuse? That's what we're voting on. Those in favour. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Any against? Minded to refuse.
It won't stop and it won't end because we've gone through this process, and as we've gone, we've learned so many different things. We're so much more skilled at fighting now. We're so much integrated with different groups. We just get stronger and louder as you get older. That always helps.
After 3 rejections, it's becoming quite clear that Manchester's private rental machine is not going to give up on this site. Block the Block needs an alternative, and today they meet the architects Unit 38, who've agreed to develop an alternative community-based plan for the Gamecock pub. Unit 38 are the community-based architects known for the Seven Sisters Latin Market campaign in Tottenham, where they helped empower a community to drive change themselves and not just be at the whims of faceless gentrification and displacement they were being threatened with. They now have their sights set on Hume, where over the next few months they're going to help Block the Block develop their own community vision.
It's the kind of social spaces which have been lost with the pub closing down, or all the pubs closing down, but also kind of, cafes, places you can stay without necessarily having to buy anything, affordable shops, maybe kind of smaller function rooms if used as therapy rooms or as other spaces. On the upper floors seems this kind of idea of supported housing for the elderly.
The ground floor would be for nice therapies. And the first, second, for older people who are sick but don't want to move. They want Hume as their home.
I think there's other groups that would benefit from assisted living in that place, like, you know, adults that are a bit younger but they need some help and they can still live on their own. They've got no accommodation around there. The cafe would be a great idea because, as you said, it's pay as you feel. We could get the kickstart 16 to 24s, train them up, which will feed the people who live upstairs, the older people or anybody else who's living up there. So I think that's a great idea.
What did she say? I didn't understand nothing she said. I couldn't understand it. Her accent. I couldn't help y'all if I tried. Back to the video.
This would be such a Brucey bonus for them in terms of showcasing what they can do and how to do it differently. That's maybe one of the ways you can get on
Yeah,
board.
we need to make it an offer that is too good to resist,
absolutely.
basically.
But I just think the stuff what you've done there is amazing. Yeah. And to have that idea, love it. I've got goosebumps about it.
We're hoping that with this small amount of funding and preparing these images and the workshops we're doing over the next month and a half, we can then hopefully access more funding to carry it on.
Okay.
As my time filming comes to an end, this campaign has essentially only just begun. Alongside the community, Unit 38 begins to develop the alternative, age-friendly Gamecock plan. I then started to wonder what a victory might look like in years to come.
I think globally we can look to examples like Red Vienna in the early 20th century, where the council built mass council house building, very high quality, that exists to this day. Co-op cities of the Bronx, where trade unions and workers' associations got together, formed co-ops and built their own housing. I think in Manchester we can look to examples like the Hume regeneration of the 90s, where tenants were able to stop the government's plans for privatisation of those council housing. In the 90s we were able to put forward a plan that saw the regeneration of Hume much more on the terms of the tenants, like Homes for Change. You saw a big commitment to social housing being rebuilt in that area, and still Hume has a large proportion of social housing stock.
But where are these creative solutions to the housing crisis when Manchester needs them the most? With 120,000 people on the social housing waiting list and a generalised decline of social spaces and mass displacement of communities, students at the Manchester School of Architecture prove that it's definitely not a lack of ideas that's driving this crisis. In Hume, instead of a high-rise tower block in the now derelict Burley Fields, they've suggested the Hume Commons, a concept of affordable and social housing built around a live, work, grow community. With a community centre called The Corner, surrounded by modular living units and areas to grow and be amongst green space. Green and affordable solutions to the housing crisis are plentiful. The only thing that seems to be lacking is the enthusiasm to engage with them.
And I think there's a fundamental contradiction between housing as a source of profit for capitalist developers on the one hand, and then housing as a human right.
Will take a huge kind of political effort from the leadership of the city to face down very real interests in the property industry. If the leadership of the city was serious about trying to tackle the problems of displacement and gentrification, they will have to accept at some point that seriously addressing those is not going to make the people investing in property particularly happy, and you know, their interests will be curtailed.
Developers in the city of Manchester at the moment are looking to make a quick buck and to maximise the amount of rabbit hutch dwellings. We need to stop it. We will stop it.
I'm from a council estate primed to detonate with the great unwashed and the great unclean. And if you look further, you can see the great smoke screen. We're hidden behind the blasphemy, the bigotry, the energy they use to slay, the veracity of their prejudgment, the hate they leave at my estate. Politicians and developers rubbing hands with glee, the thought of another gentrification as they get our childhood homes for free. Your greedy yearning for investments, killing homes, souls and communities too. Art washing out entire lives, building, but for who? Building houses not for home, but for investment opportunities, corporate portfolios as your handmade shoes walk above the ruins of what was once a thriving community. No longer subdued by your doublespeak, our blinkers are off to your well-meaning cultural cleaning. Come and unfurl your banner, raise your head and raise the light. We represent social housing tenants. We demand a home to feel safe in, a home for life.
Again, builders build. They're not there for your well-being. If you want to get anywhere, people have to come together as one voice, as a unity. If you want to get anywhere in your city or your town or your state or whatever. But when you come, you're going to have to come in large numbers. Because it's all about money with people that's in the higher ranks. If you don't come together as a unit, you will be pushed out. You will be forced to be pushed out. You will become homeless. And you will have nothing. It's sad though. Anyway, thank you everybody for tuning into my video. Please like and share this video and leave me a comment after the video. So until next time, everybody, please stay safe. Peace. Afro Goddess is out.